Somebody's gonna have to do it. The faceless men all stood around it in a circle. It squawked and weakly tried to rise, but couldn't find the strength. It had been so beautiful once. Its feathers had shone so brightly once. They drooped now, and had long been drained of color. If you looked closely, you could still just make out their old brilliance, very faintly. "I think it still needs time," one spoke up in its defense. "We've given it more than enough time and nothing's come of it. It's cost us everything we had and more. The longer it stays alive, the lower we're gonna sink." But it's been with us for so long," another voice pleaded. "Fine, if no one will do anything, I will." One of the faceless stepped forward, a small knife in hand. He confidently made his way to the center of the circle, towards the exhausted, sick animal. As he knelt beside it, he touched the plumes on its head. Its milky white eyes fluttered. It couldn't see anymore, but it could still feel. It weakly nuzzled its beak in his hand, an action made second nature by countless repetitions. The man took a deep breath and then slowly exhaled. It was never realistic that they could have kept it in the first place. Its beak opened, but the knife was lodged so far into its throat, no sound came out. The man stood up. All of the others had vanished. He stood alone, watching such a sacred, beautiful thing breathe its last. Tom woke with a start. He'd had a dream but couldn't remember it. Just a jumbled mess of images and feelings. Trying to wipe the grogginess from his eyes, he glanced at his cell beside him on the nightstand. 3:37 a.m. The green light seemed to shout at him in its brightness. Christ. He had to be at work by 6 for the brunch shift. He was tired of this. Tired of subsisting on just enough to survive. Tired of dodging creditors and mailing checks he knew wouldn't clear. Tired of the record labels turning him down no matter how many demos he made or how much harder he pushed himself to nail everything note perfect. Mostly he was just tired. He stared at the wall while sitting on the edge of his bed in the darkness. A decision made, he got up, fished around in his closet for the old suit he had to get for his dad's funeral, put on some coffee, and started looking for a full-time gig. The sound on the monitor cut out, but the live feed of Tom puttering around in his apartment remained. A tall man in a gray suit walked on from the side and addressed the audience. As you saw from earlier in the broadcast, the subject's subconscious has manifested his dreams and aspirations as some sort of mythical bird. Once proud and beautiful, now starved and blinded. A voice came out of the darkness. "If his conflict is resolved, how will he keep producing?" "Ah, yes, good question. As we are well aware, this technology is only made economically feasible by the energy that is a byproduct of a conflicted subconscious. Examples of high-rate producers would be someone who longs for stability but chose the arts, a natural skeptic who witnesses a quote-unquote supernatural event, or an animal lover forced to eat a beloved pet to stave off starvation, etc., etc. The problem inherent in the established system, however, is that if the conflict remains unresolved for an extended period of time, the subject will disconnect themselves, wasting millions in potential energy. So, our solution is temporary resolutions. You resolve the conflict, let the subject's mind become accustomed, reintroduce the conflict slowly under the guise of something small, and then production resumes. The man at the podium shuffled a few papers. Another voice was heard. "How will the conflict be reintroduced for Tom?" The presenter looked puzzled. "Who? Yes, of course. Provider 309. We're still in the embryonic phase of that development. The subconscious needs to stabilize before we can destabilize it again. It's a delicate process." Tom was shaving when he got the text. "Dude, you still got your strat? Jack broke his wrist and we need a backup tonight at the Red Snake, ASAP. Record execs are going to be there. It's confirmed." It'd been 6 months since he'd picked up a guitar. He'd been able to talk his way into an office gig. Boring, but more money consistently than he'd ever had. He looked at his guitar gathering dust in the corner of his apartment. Then at his reflection in the mirror. Suit, tie, haircut, beard shaved. He texted back. "Shoot me the set list and the sheet music for anything that's changed. I'll see you tonight." Still in his suit, he sat down on the edge of the bed and started drilling the old chords.